Okay, in this video, I want to take a look at what happens when your data protection rights are breached. Many times, employees contact me alleging that their employment rights in respect of data protection have been breached. This video, I'm going to take a look at what are the remedies for you as an employee and are you entitled to compensation. Okay, examples of data protection breaches would be that there has been no response to a data protection request that you've made from the employer. So you're entitled to make a data protection request from your employer. He's supposed to or she's supposed to give you all records and notes about you, either in electronic or paper form. If there's been no response within the time frame, I think it's around 40 days, then that is a data protection breach. There has been a response, but it has been inadequate. In other words, you know that it's not everything that they have on file on you, then that could be a data protection breach as well. Also, they could be guilty of withholding information incorrectly by claiming an exemption. There are some exemptions for the employer to withhold information or for the data controller to withhold information. There are some exemptions, but they may be using an exemption or making up an exemption incorrectly or wrongly. And other problems then that can arise in relation to data protection. For example, perhaps a request you've made to have a particular record amended and corrected, and they haven't done so. So are you entitled to compensation? If your complaint is upheld, the Data Protection Commissioner will seek to ensure compliance with his finding, and he can make a legal order concerning the issue. So he will essentially issue a notice to the data controller saying that you're in breach of this person's data protection rights and to remedy the situation. If the data controller fails to remedy the problem, remedy the situation in accordance with the note from the Data Protection Commissioner, then the Data Protection Commissioner can go to court and seek an order against the employer, essentially prosecute the employer. What about damages though, or compensation? Clearly, if the data protection commissioner goes to court and gets some sort of a penalty against the employer, that will give you a certain element perhaps of satisfaction. It may not even be an employer, but whoever the data controller is. However, are you entitled to damages or compensation for the breach? Well, the Data Protection Act of 1988 in Section 7 sets out that data controllers and data processors owe a duty of care to data subjects. So if you're an employee, for example, in the workplace, then you're a data subject. There was a High Court decision in 2013 involving a man called Mr. Collins versus FBD Insurance. It provides clarity in this area. Mr. Collins' data protection rights were breached by FBD. He brought a case for damages to the Circuit Court, and he was awarded 15,000 euros in damages for the civil wrong or the tort that occurred as a result of the breach or by the breach of his data protection rights. FBD then appealed this ruling to the High Court, and the High Court found that the data subject must prove three things. One, that there has been a breach of the Data Protection Act and the duty of care contained in Section 7. So it's not enough that the Data Protection Act has been breached. The duty of care in Section 7 must have been breached. Number two, that damage has resulted from the breach. And number three, that the breach has caused damage or loss. If you cannot prove these three things, you will not be entitled to damages or compensation. And in this situation, the High Court overturned the Circuit Court decision, but it did make clear that these three things needed to be proved in order to win any compensation or damages for data protection. So if you're a data subject and a data controller or data manager has breached your employment or your data protection rights, then it's one thing to have a decision upheld or made by the Data Protection Commissioner to confirm that your data protection rights have been breached. However, it's entirely another matter to get damages or compensation for it. So you may well consider going down the road. Clearly, you may well want to uphold your data protection rights, but you do need to be aware that at the end of the day, the Data Protection Commissioner can, to all intents and purposes, give the data controller a rap over the knuckles, but it's not going to put any money into your pocket. My name is Terry Gorry. I'm a solicitor in Enfield and County Meath. If you like this video, if you find it useful, you might just give it a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my YouTube channel.